Hello and welcome to SingleSexy&Sixty. I'm your host, Julie Swartz, and I'm so glad you're with us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I am so excited that today I get to introduce you to Matthew Coast. Matthew's a best-selling author, speaker, researcher, and most notably, a world-renowned dating and relationship coach. Over the past 20 years, he has been helping women find and maintain relationships that are filled with passion, excitement, and love. And who doesn't want that? Millions of women follow him through his social media posts, articles, videos, and enroll in his programs. His program is simple and practical, offering step by step guidance on attraction, communication, and building lasting relationships. He is truly an expert in modern dating. So, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I need to share with you that personally, every post that I read, I feel like you're speaking directly to me. And my friends and followers have said the same thing, like, oh my gosh, did you read what he wrote today? That's me. That's me. So excited to have you here because we all resonate with you and what you're sharing with us. So you know that my demographic is women in their 60-ish, I'm going to say. And you talk a lot about modern love. So, or modern dating. I want to say modern dating. What is modern dating?
That's a good question. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, that's interesting. Modern dating is definitely a lot different. Things have changed. Things have changed, and
Yes,
you know it. You know it
yes,
if you dated at all, like back in even the early
yes.
2000s, things have totally shifted, right? And I think part of it's, online dating culture. Part of it's just, the everything's kind of changed really. And so I think it's important to look at what's, if you're having any problems, if you're having trouble, if you're having challenges, and you're like, wow, what about the old days, right? I want you to know that it's not just you, right? It's not just you having problems. Everything's different now, right? Things are way different than they used to
Yes.
be, right? Back in the old days, people would
Uh-huh.
just like that they would like meet their friend's friend and then they would go out on a date or something, or maybe they'd, meet at the bar or something like that. It's way different these days, right? The majority, I think I was reading a statistic the other day that was saying the majority of relationships now are actually found online. Um, which is wild. It's wild, and it's a wild place online. So buckle up. It's important to have especially if you're older and you're coming into this and you're like so confused about dating. It's good to get information about it, right? Educate yourself on it. Learn about it. Because it's really easy now to fall into scams, to fall into traps, to get stuck into situations that really aren't what you want. And so it's good to have advice. It's good to have people there that do this stuff for a living, professionally, and help lots of people. And so um, I want you to know that you're in the right place right now. All right, I'm
Great,
I'm
great.
babbling on. What?
No, that's good. That's good. What you talked about, the online dating, and it is frustrating, and I feel like it opens up a whole candy shop for men and women. Like, oh, look at all this. Oh, I see something better comes along the next day in your feed. Oh, look at that one. But so with that whole frustration with it, I want to say that half of my followers, half of my friends, um, don't want a relationship. And it's not that they don't want love, they just don't want the frustration of dealing with this new dating, this modern dating thing. So,
Mhm.
what advice do you have for those women who are just, they want love, but they're frustrated with this dating
Yeah,
online?
I would say that it's okay, right? It's okay to be there, right? A lot of us have been there. I was there. I was there at one point,
Good.
right? And lots of people go there. There's a lot of frustration out there. And it's understandable, right? And if you get overly frustrated, it's okay, right? Just take a break, right? Like a lot of people, I hear this all the time. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want, I don't want a relationship. I don't want love, all that kind of stuff."
Right.
What you're really saying when you say that is that you're saying that you your experiences that you've had have been so painful that you don't want to deal with it anymore, right? And that's understandable. It's totally, I get it, right? It can be painful, especially if that's all you've ever had. I was talking to my brother the other day, and he's one of those guys that's like, I don't ever want a relationship again for the rest of my life, right? And it's because all of his relationships he's ever had have been painful. They've been, that was one of the reasons I'm 44 right now.
Okay.
And I spent most of my life avoiding getting married, getting to really, I'm married now, but I spent most of my life avoiding it because I watched um, my friends and family get married and divorced, or, problems with kids, and these people hate those people. And I was like, what, I mean, is healthy relationships even a real thing? And so I went on a journey for myself about finding what is a healthy relationship. Are there people with healthy relationships? What does it look like? And there's actually a lot of people with healthy relationships out there, but they don't get as much attention as the dysfunction does, because the dysfunction is exciting, and all these kinds of things. And now we live in this world where with the internet, more dysfunction is able to reach you than ever before, right? More people that have their own problems and challenges are able to meet you. More narcissists are able to contact you. More people that sit around and study, how do I, trigger these different emotions, and these people are able to connect with you than ever before. It's more exciting than ever before, but it's exhausting if you get caught up in it and you're not sure how to navigate it in a way that actually gets you to whatever kind of relationship you ultimately want. So if you're in a place right now where you're afraid of relationships, that's okay. What you're really afraid of, and I want you to remember this, what you're really afraid of isn't relationships. It's toxic relationships. It's getting hurt. It's being it's getting more trauma than you already have, right? That's what you're really afraid of. There's nothing that will destroy your life more than a toxic relationship. But at the same time, there's nothing that's more fulfilling in your entire life than a healthy, loving, amazing relationship. And that's, if you were guaranteed that that's the kind of relationship that you'd get into, and you could experience what that feels like, and what it's like to have somebody who has your back, who sees you for who you are and accepts you for who you are, somebody that gives you the security that you need, lets you know that they aren't going anywhere, and you have chemistry and a great time with them as well, you would be like, oh my God, absolutely, I want to be in one of these relationships, right? But you're afraid because your experiences have led you to believe that you're far more likely to get into a toxic situation than you are to get into a healthy one. And it's totally understandable. So I
Yeah,
get
and
you.
with
I see
that,
it.
sorry to interrupt, but with that, because it
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
up something that I did want to talk about, is that many of my friends, and they've shared this with me, that they fall back into these unhealthy relationships because they're bored or they're lonely, or like you said, maybe they're just, it's exciting. I hate
Right.
to say that, but yeah. So how can we
Totally.
break the cycle?
Yeah,
How do
that's a good question. That's a great question. There's this one of the things I talk about is this idea that you don't attract what you want, you attract what's most comfortable, right? And so what most people do is they go back to comfort, right? It's like your home, right? It's like when you go out and you see these people that they live in like hurricane zones, and every few years a hurricane comes and just destroys their house and floods everything, right? And they go back to rebuilding, right? And then a couple of years later, thing happens again. You're like, why don't you just move, right? And if you
yeah.
ask these people about it, right,
Yeah.
what they'll tell you is, all my family's here. This is where I live. This is my home, right? And
Yeah.
so they keep going back to their home over and over and over again. And if you want something different, you have to create a new home. You have to create a new home for yourself. You have to create a home of love, of security, of passion and excitement, but one that is secure to you and nurturing of your soul, right? And so, you can create something different, right? But you have to let go of what hasn't been working for you, and what isn't working for you, and what's just going to create more pain for you. And that's very hard to do, right?
Right. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but
And
yeah.
you have to want to do it. And,
Correct.
I think, if you know that you want love, but you're frustrated with the process, just keep that thought that I want the love, I want the love, I want the love, and just keep pursuing the love, however you find
Mhm.
that. So you also talked about, gosh, and I forgot, I should have written it down. You went into, oh, this is what I wanted to say. Yes. The dating again, the online dating, and how 50% of my friends say, I don't want a relationship. I'm like, I know you want a relationship. You just don't want to go through the process of dating here. But how can they kind of get over that? And I will share that my friends who are my age, 60ish, say the financially secure, good looking men our age want 40-year-olds. And
Mhm.
the ones that maybe aren't so good looking or, whatever, they want a nurse or a purse. Have you heard that before, Matthew?
Oh,
A
absolutely.
nurse or a purse. So, what
Yeah.
advice can you give those that are struggling with feeling like, you know, are are the men our age want the younger women, or they want somebody to take care of them, or financially or physically?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally understandable because there's a lot of that going on out there, right? And the older you get, women outlive men, right? Women
Yes.
outlive men. So the older you get, the less men that are even around, right? Because they're dying off, right? The older you get. And so here's the thing that one of the biggest challenges that happens that I've experienced with women that are a bit older is a lot of times they get kind of caught up in the way that they do things. One of the things you need to know, especially if you're doing online dating, but overall in general, is that online dating isn't designed to find you a match and get you married or get you into a long-term committed relationship, right? Online dating, the apps, most of them are all owned by the same company, Match Co.
I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, almost all of them are owned by Match, right? Match owns most of the dating apps and websites that are out there. They're all owned by the same people. And their whole goal is to keep you on the app, right?
Yes,
Their goal
that
is not to have you find somebody great. Their goal is to get money either from you or more likely the men, because men tend to pay a lot more for apps than the women do.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
and so they want to keep you on the app as long as they possibly can, right? And uh, there's a lot of problems and issues with these apps, right? And so what one of the big problems that you'll find is that they focus on the least important things that you could possibly focus on when you're focusing on a partner that you want to meet, right? Which is like, they're right, because you go on Tinder and it's like you're looking at images, you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
like a, you know, 2 sentence word thing about who they are, right? Sometimes they have, with some of the other like websites and stuff, they'll have like age, height, all these different things, income level, education, right? Which all sound really good, but none of those things determine whether somebody's a good partner for you or not, right? None of them do, right?
Right.
None
Yeah.
of the stuff that people use to screen somebody out online are things that will determine whether they're a good partner for you or not, which is why you have to take this into your own hands, right? If you want to meet a good partner,
Yeah.
skip all the things, open things up. That's what you want to do first, is you want to screen in, right? You want to open things up and make it so that um, you're willing to talk to more people, and then have your own screening process, right, that actually focuses on the most important things. And I'm a little bit biased on this, but I think that character is the most important thing. Character is what determines how good of a man he is, and not only how good of a man he is, but how good of a man he is for you, right? And so you want to focus on that. And if you focus on that, it's a lot easier to find better men, and and you can broaden your range of who you're talking to, right? And we're just talking about online right now, but That's one of the biggest things. You want to open things up a bit, and take all of your assumptions about what is supposed to work and what you're looking for, throw it out the window and start focusing on character, finding a good man to be with, right? And if you do that, I think you'll find that you'll end up meeting a lot better partners that way.
That brings up so many good questions too. So that's the online platform. And so with
Mhm.
60-year-olds, what do you think or what do you advise for the best platforms or approaches to meeting quality people in our 60s?
That's Yeah, that's a great question. What I would recommend is that you open it up as broadly as possible, right? So there's a few different things that you can do. One of them is, online dating apps. Like I said, it's still the easiest place to, meet lots of people. Most people are meeting their significant other online now. But you have to have a process for it because it's really easy to get sucked into scammers, talk to guys that aren't even real people, right? I was talking to this woman the other day who's in her 60s, and she's been, in a relationship with this guy for 5 years, and she's never even met him before, right? And I was like, you don't even know if this is a real person or not.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like, are you,
that's
what I
right.
mean? And it's a common thing because, I don't, I'm not going to say that this is a scammer or not. There's a good chance he is, but what he's doing is he's sucking her in and keeping her there, right? And what she's doing is she's shutting herself off to everybody else because she's so focused on this guy that she's never even met in person before. And so
Why do you think he's doing that? I'm just curious. Like, why does a man like it?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
We actually had a woman in our community once who was talking about online. This is might scare you off from online, but don't let it. Most of the people on there aren't single, right? Most of the people online that are doing online dating are either in a relationship or married,
Uh,
right? That was a study that came out of doing Tinder, right? So they found that on Tinder is that most people are actually in a
yeah.
relationship or married. And there
Okay.
was this woman in our community who admitted it. She was like, "Yeah, I'm married and I'm on the dating apps, right? And I do this because." I want to, I think it's fun to meet, and talk to people. And she's like, I don't actually meet up with any of them. I just talk to them online, and build relations. She's like, I'm not even using my own photo and stuff.
She's
I'm,
just
you
bored.
know,
Yeah.
well, it's not even boredom sometimes. It's sometimes they're not getting what they need, right? We have needs.
Oh,
We all
yes.
have
Yeah.
needs, right?
Yes.
Emotional needs, right?
Uh-huh.
There's
Women.
four of them, four primary needs that everybody needs in a relationship, right? One is what most people go for, right? Which is excitement, right? That you have a need to feel excited, to experience excitement, to feel alive, to have variety, right? There's a second need, which is security, right? Which is feeling like you're comfortable, like, you have a grip on everything, like, that kind of a thing. And then the third one is to feel love and connection, right? Which is feeling like somebody's on your side, like you're connected to something or someone. And then the fourth one is um, feeling important, right? You want to feel like you're an important person, like you're important to this person, right? And so in a lot of relationships, people don't get all their needs met, right? And so you will go and find those needs because they're not just wants that you have. You need to feel important somewhere in your life. You need to feel
I love it.
connected,
Yeah.
loved somewhere in your life. You need to feel excitement. You need to feel security. You need all of these things. And if you're not getting in your relationship, people will go outside of the relationship to try to find that. And that's what a lot of people are doing with using online dating apps. And it's usually they're missing the excitement piece. And so they go and try to find that online. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people that'll they're literally out there to waste your time. And your job is to make sure that none of these people waste any of your time, right? At least not much of it. And so you don't want to take anyone seriously until they've proven to you that they are somebody that you should take seriously.
And how do they prove that to you?
There's a lot of different ways, right? And
Okay.
so this is another thing I hear a lot is like women will be like, "Oh, this guy ghosted me," and I'm like, "Oh, how long you guys been seeing each other?" And they're like, "Well, he's still on the app." And I'm like, "Well, don't take anybody seriously on the app. In fact, don't take anybody seriously until they're showing up consistently, they're saying the right things, they're doing the right things, and they do that over a length of time, right? The longest period of time you probably want to go, especially at the very beginning, is 3 months. Right? A guy has to show
Okay.
you within 3 months that he is serious and consistently serious in that
Consistent.
3 months. And if
Yes,
he doesn't do that, you don't take him seriously. You don't get into a relationship with him. You don't let him take you off the market, right? He has to, tell you what he's looking for. It has to be in alignment with what you're looking for. He has to show up. He has to, meet you. And if you're online and it's hard to meet, he has to, at the very least, be doing video calls with you, right? Consistently. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a whole
great.
process for
Yes,
it, right? Like you want to, you like, if you want to go on better dates, do video calls before you go on a date, right?
yes,
If you
yeah,
want to have much, much better dates, then make sure that you're doing video calls before you ever go on a date. Even if you meet somebody in person, right? Do a video call with them. Most phones will do this at this point. You can use
of
WhatsApp
course.
or
Yeah, yeah.
Telegram or Facebook. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can use. Even a lot of the dating apps you can do video calls with, or at the very least, like audio calls with them. So,
Yes, that is such great. I love those four things people need. I love that. So thank you. That was such good information for me.
yeah.
Um, so I know you have a popular resource out there right now, which is your love quiz. You want to tell us about your
Yeah.
love quiz?
Sure. Yeah, so I've been doing this for a while, and one of the things that I found out is that there's only so many different problems that people run into when they're dating. And so I took all the different ideas and all the challenges that women go through, and I put them into a quiz. And what this quiz does is you take the quiz, you figure out what your love block is, right? It's the love block quiz.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And it will show you, like, it'll go over like what your big, you can take it as free, right? There's no charge for it. You can go check it out. And it'll talk about like what it'll diagnose your problem. It'll tell you what you need to do, what mistakes you want to avoid, and what you should be doing instead. It's a great resource. You can check it out. It's
Great.
lovequiz.net.
Okay. And I'll put a link to your love quiz and all of your social media and whatever else you want me to at the end of this,
Sure.
so that everybody has a chance to learn more about you and learn about your love quiz. Okay. So this is the most debated question of all of my followers. So I'm going to ask you, what does the word sexy mean to you?
What does the word sexy mean? Um, I think that what it means to me anyway is it's like this sensual kind of like pull or draw, that somebody or something has, right? Where it's like they have this energy or this kind of thing that kind of pulls you in, and it creates this, this feeling of excitement within you where you're just like, oh man, there's something just amazing and sexy about that person.
I love that answer. Thank you. This has been so amazing for me today. I still can't believe I had this opportunity, Matthew. So thank you so much. Um, is there anything you want to end with before I say goodbye?
What I would end with is, keep going. If you're struggling right now, if you're having challenges right now, just keep going, keep moving forward, keep learning from the experiences, life and relationships. I believe that all this stuff it's a spiritual path. I believe it's about
I
growing
love
who
that.
we are. It's about
Yeah.
growing our soul and developing who we are. And so always remember that you are worth it, and just keep going until you create the life that you want.
That is so great because that's how I want this to be. I want this to empower women and men who might be listening. That this is an empowering thing, and you have been so awesome, Matthew. I hope maybe we'll get an opportunity to do this again.
Sure. Sounds
Yeah,
great.
okay. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. I know it's evening where you are. And I so appreciate you. And we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, I
Okay.
appreciate you too.
All
Thanks
right.
for
Okay.
having me on.
Goodbye.